Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike, today with my co-host Joe in the OC, and as you can see in transit, we have Mr. Michael Benavente with us. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I've got the air show in the background, so it's not World War III, it's just the Thunderbirds.
Oh, I heard it. As soon as you said that, I heard it.
Yep, there they are.
Yep.
Did you? I didn't hear anything.
He doesn't have his headphones in.
Yeah.
You just need to be listening for car horns.
He's got his own background noise going on, but he's not driving though. He's being driven. Don't you remember?
It's a hands-free situation, so I think we're good anyway. Anyway, it works.
He's being chauffeured. Yeah.
This is the mobile spring bar episode. Mobile spring bar. Spring bars everywhere.
Yeah, there you go. Oh goodness. All right. So how are you going to start this today, Joe?
Well, we can start with new watch alerts because I know you got a couple.
I do have a few.
one.
I'll go through real quick.
Okay.
First off,
Oh,
I got. Oh goodness. Joe got off a little early there. Champagne everywhere. Don't get it on the microphone. All right. While you clean that up, I have, and I'm just gonna hold the watches up today because this episode, I apologize, is not going to be very photocentric because for the first time we're recording and then the episode is getting edited and uploaded tonight. Usually I have about a week to do that with, but this is going to be a quick turnaround. So if you can't tell, this is another Jetstar Stars and Stripes project that I was able to get my hands on.
where'd you get that one from?
This came from eBay. It was going to be used as a parts watch by somebody, and through conversation we started talking about it. He had another watch that he needed the parts for. I said, don't tear it apart. I'm like, I'll just restore your watch for you. You just let me buy out your max bid on it and everybody's happy. So I bought out his max bid. I'm restoring his watch in exchange for me being able to buy this. I probably spent a little too much for it, but it'll turn into a nice watch nonetheless.
Somebody's going to be happy.
Somebody will be happy. Moving on. In the Jetstar theme, I have probably what is the only one in the United States at the moment, but thank you to all the folks at Bulova for making this one come through. This is the Black Dial UK Jetstar.
That's really nice. That's a good
gilt
great.
dial almost.
Yeah.
So
That
this
was
is
great.
It's fantastic. So the Jetstars, if you guys are listening, I haven't really looked at them yet. They're a sunburst dial. All three of the US versions are all a sunburst dial. This is the same as well. And I got to tell you, a black sunburst dial watch is just fantastic to look at. These are beautiful.
Cool.
I think you should delay the upload of the podcast by another couple of days. I think you should get I think you should get a really good photograph of that watch.
You know what? I'll throw one in of this one. How's that?
All right, good.
I can make an exception for that. And lastly, I feel real dirty. This is a real dirty purchase. I bought an homage watch.
This watch.
Which I am the first to admit that I poo-poo on homage watches fairly regularly. I don't understand them. I generally don't like what they represent. This is the Sea Stern. It is a Doxa Sub 300T homage. This is the aquamarine version. Somebody posted it up on Instagram and I saw it. I'm like, you know what? I've always been curious about these. Pulled the trigger. It was just a of the moment purchase. And I gotta say, this thing shows up. It's not bad. It's not bad.
All
Solid
right.
end
Well,
length.
shut up.
Hold on, let me go through the specs real quick. Let me go through the specs.
How much did you pay for it? Let's start there.
$169.
$169 for a Tiffany blue, not Doxa.
Yeah. A fake Doxa, Foxa.
Fake Doxa.
Why is it, Joe? Why is it not a Why is it not a real Doxa? It's not orange. Are you saying it's not
Because
orange
it's not a Doxa watch. You didn't pay $2,000 for it.
So if you
It's an
don't,
homage. I mean, the case is right. The bracelet's okay. The dial is. Talk about the dial.
so well, here's the thing. Let's go through the specs real quick. You have a beads of rice bracelet. It doesn't have quite the flare at the lugs like the original beads of rice does, but it's very nice, very solid, milled clasp. It's not
Solid in
cheap.
lugs.
Solid end lugs.
Okay.
Or solid end links. It has the same design and shape as the original Doxa design, same crown shape and size, has the same one-piece bezel. The action on it, I don't know if you can hear that, is real smooth. Sounds real nice. Sapphire crystal, the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. It's a chunk of steel. This is heavy. And it's got this is the aquamarine version, the Tiffany dial version, if you will. It leaves a little bit to be desired, the dial. That's kind of, I guess, where they get away with not, a direct copy of the Doxa. So what I did is I immediately ordered a Yoboki's dial. They have a Doxa version of it, which is a little bit nicer, and it has the air tanks in the one corner, and it's a little better
So you
labeled and
immediately
stuff.
ordered a copy of the dial to go with your cup.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to make your homage more homagey.
I do.
Just throwing that out there.
I think it'll make me feel less dirty if I customize it just a little bit more.
Joe, if I may say, and not to interrupt Mike, but I think it's appropriate that today we're going to talk a little bit about Oceanographer with that thing he just talked about.
I feel that we're you and I are on the same page here because
absolutely.
Hang on a minute, I got a jet.
So while the jet goes over Joe's house, it's not a bad watch. I am kind of impressed what you get for the money. This will be the only homage watch that I ever buy. Reissues is another thing. I love reissues.
The only homage watch that he bought this week. There's more. They're coming. I'm telling you right now, they're coming.
They're not coming. No.
He's going to get an orange dial, Michael. He's going to get an orange dial and throw it in there, and then we're going to have to disown him.
I had someone. I had a diver, a very prominent diver, who I won't say his name this time, but maybe in a future episode we'll talk about it. He's dived with both watches. And Joe, you'll be happy to say his review of the Oceanographer, obviously with the orange dial, was tops. He said much brighter even than the other watch we were just talking about.
Oh God, yes. So I actually saw. I took my orange dials. So I've got a couple. I've got them right here. I've got the original V from 1971. I have the reissue limited edition Devil Diver from 2018. I have a new edition of the orange. And we were a friend of mine at a meetup brought his Doxa. He brought his Doxa orange, and we were comparing the colors. And it was really interesting to see just the subtle bits of variation that were going on, because we've talked in the past that the Bulova dials are all the same Pantone color. The Doxas are different, and it's a different orange, and it's a question of like how it's going to fade, because like we have the 71 dial, and it's a new old stock dial, but it's faded just a little bit, so the colors are slightly different. The new ones are the same, and then the Doxa is a different color, and the Bulova is better. It's a better orange. Just saying.
I agree with that entirely. Yep.
So,
yeah.
Well, what's in your glass there, Mike?
I'm drinking my version of a White Russian. We'll call this a White Russian homage.
White Russian homage.
I don't have all the actual White Russian fixins, so it's white and it's creamy. So we'll just go with that.
Wow. Wow. Oh, it's just getting better and better. Well.
Oh, okay, Joe, save me.
Save you? I want to see what's on Michael's wrist.
Okay, what do you got, Michael?
On my wrist today, because I was kind of missing KC. I thought he'd be here.
Oh,
so
look at that.
I have a military, the usual hack. That was for KC. I thought I'd see him today. but
Is that
I know
the commemorative one?
no, this is just the standard one.
It's a-
Oh, that's the standard one. Okay.
I can't always be Mr. Fancy. No, it's the age of military. Sorry, Joe. Not you, Joe. Everyday Joe. You're a special Joe.
We're losing again here, Michael. Are you with us?
No, he said I'm special. I heard that. It's good.
Yeah, Joe has selective hearing. Yeah, when I say special, he hears it all the time. It doesn't matter.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So I only have one new watch. And this one it's been a long time coming. We're going to talk about this. We're going to go kind of in depth. But I've got the GMT, the new Bulova GMT.
It's not technically a new watch. It's a sample.
It's new to me. Shut up. I just had it for a week. It's a newish watch.
Okay.
It's pretty new. I mean, we just shipped the damn thing. I mean, it hasn't been out that much. Maybe a month, not even.
Well,
I'm pretty new.
I'm saying it's not his new watch.
Well, it was loaned to me lovingly by our friends at Bulova. It is not a purchased watch, and it was interesting because this watch has made the rounds, and I know that this watch has made the rounds because the packaging
gets around.
The packaging was phenomenal. The box had been taped up about 4 or 5 times. The cushion was sort of it's been around, and someone, not me, someone has tried to cross thread the crown. So the crown, it's got a little bit of give to it. But
so did we void the warranty on that? Somebody avoid the warranty? Is it no longer 200 meters?
It came to me that way. It was not me. But we'll talk about voiding warranties. God, it's a good watch. It's
well,
really
Joe, I just want to say, I know definitely that watch has probably been on many editors' desks over the last month. Because you were waiting for it, we're trying to get it to you, and every time we tried to get it to you, it was either coming back or going to someone else. So,
you know what? It was worth the wait.
We were able to get it to you.
It was absolutely worth the wait. I've got nothing but positives. Well, no, that's not true. That's not entirely true. However, we can go into that.
Ooh, Joe's hot take. Controversial hot take.
I had a feeling today was going to be a controversial show. I kind of called that from the start.
You did, didn't you? Controversial hot takes. So if you guys are watching this, you'll notice. So Michael is in a car right now. So he just kind of ducked off video a little bit just to help improve his audio. So he's still with us. You just can't see him. But so we'll get into it. Today is mostly about the new Oceanographer GMT releases. And this is something that, Joe, you have been waiting for a long time.
I have been. So we knew that this watch was coming out because somebody leaked pictures at Vegas Couture. And that was what, 6 months ago? Maybe more?
June. That was June.
Yeah, so last June. It's been
4 months now.
And I was very, very offended, Michael. Offended and hurt and hurt and offended by that. Because here's this picture of this white dial oceanographer, devil diver. And no, I didn't know about it. I had not heard about it. And then I go back and I take a look at the video, and we have video. You're on it, and I'm showing you the ultravioletly faded dial that I have of an Oceanographer V, and it's turned white. And I said, I want a white. And you looked and went, white, huh? And that's what your face looked like. And that was it, which started me thinking, and I started to spiral just a little bit. Like, how long had this been in the works? Were you ready on that? Were you getting ready to do that when we were talking? I got to know.
First of all, I'm glad that you were disappointed. That's good. It won't be the first or last time you'll be hurt, Joe. Sorry. No, but yeah, no, that watch was at least 10 months in the making. But when you said white, I was thinking a different kind of white. I wasn't thinking loom because obviously I already knew this was loom. And I don't know, for some reason in my brain, I wasn't thinking loom was white, although of course it is that in the long run, right?
Well, when the first images showed up, there wasn't anything with the loom, and then they were saying that they were calling it the loom. I'm like, oh, it's a loom dial, which is even better. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. I'm thrilled. I'm satisfied. The dial. I get it.
I mean, so far of the 3 versions that we have, it's coming in loom, root beer, Pepsi in that order. So we'll see
Really?
if after the holidays, we'll see if that stays that way or if it changes. But for the
That's
initial, let's
interesting.
say, couple of weeks of sales, it's loom, root beer, Pepsi.
That's interesting because when we talked last time, you had said when the watches were making their rounds through the press that the root beer was coming out ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to hear that turn.
In person.
When the retailers, when we showed it to retailers for sales, right, to do our initial sell-in, it was going root beer, loom, Pepsi. But now that it's actually out, amongst the editors, I must say, it was a toss-up between loom and root beer. I'd say it was 50-50. But now that we're starting to see some sales come through, that's how it's starting. But we'll see. I mean, the root beer is a strong second, and you know what? The root beer will probably. I think the root beer version will win in the long run, only because it speaks to non-watch aficionados, as well as people who also enjoy watches. But the loom is certainly a choice among folks who really are in love with watches.
It's something else. Like the glow, the way that it glows. It's bright. It's really good. It's really good.
The pictures are impressive. I will say that.
Yeah.
It is something to behold.
Yeah, it turns out really well. So let's talk about the negatives, shall we? Here are the negatives.
Okay.
You've changed the font of the bulova, which is different. It's not bad.
Really?
It's different.
Really?
Yeah. The B is no longer taller than the rest of and so it comes across. It's slightly different.
I gotta pull up a picture of this here.
You do because you didn't notice.
Oh, look at that! It really is, isn't it? Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now the thing that was really interesting, and this was the question that we had forever, as soon as the announcement came out, when they started to throw up some of the specs and the pictures that we saw, the renderings that we saw, the case said that it was gray. It wasn't stainless. It wasn't high polished. And so it was a kind of a question of what was the color that the case was, and it's that PVD, and you're calling it a gunmetal, I believe.
It's gray IP. It's gray a gunmetal IP. Yeah, gunmetal. Right. It can be. Yep. Go ahead.
Well, and so it tints. It goes from sort of a dark gunmetal, then almost into a sort of a brown, and back and forth depending upon the light. And there's no problem with that. It's a really neat color. It's a really neat thing. It shows up.
That's why it's not gray. I mean, that's why you should call it gunmetal, because if you think about gunmetal, depending on it tends to be more matte,
right? And
it tends to be like you're saying brown, but that's just the reflection of the light.
Right. It just depends on now. I will point out that in the same episode that we were talking about the white dial, I did show you and talk about the black coated devil diver that I did. And so now I find out
I love that one. I love that one.
Right. And now I find out that this has been coated. So it's like I showed you a coated Oceanographer. I asked for a white dial.
So basically,
here it is, Michael. Here it is. I'm claiming this one. This is mine.
Joe is looking for you to say that this was all his doing.
We can just throw these things together in 4 months, Joe.
I know you can. When you put your mind to something, Michael, I know that we can make things happen. So
I made it in my basement. I put it together in my basement. Yeah. Keep coming up with ideas.
It's one
Yeah,
of
what
those,
else you got?
one of those devil diver garage jobs.
So the IP, the coating on it, it's really interesting. It will pick up oil off of the fingers, and it gives kind of a sheen, like you would see if something starts to get a little bit of patina. Copper or even vintage gold has the same sort of kind of a rainbow hue to it, which is it's a nice touch. I like it.
Well,
I
see,
like it.
and
It wipes off
that's something that would bother me.
But I don't agree. It's IP plated like any other watch that's IP plated.
Oh, I'm not. No, it's just the way that the way it comes off of the reflection. So it's on top of that, and then you wipe it off and it's gone. It'll bother Mike. It doesn't bother me at all.
Well, Mike's got other issues.
Yes, he does. He's not talking to anybody about it either. It's like, he and I have
the list is long.
sessions.
Believe me, that's a whole nother episode.
I want the unedited version of the trip that Mike took to Orange County. I want the behind the scenes footage of the trip.
Wow. Yeah, there were lots of long mornings because he was hanging out at my house and he was drinking what I was drinking. So there were some rough mornings for him. And he was still on East Coast time. It's fantastic.
I was there for what, 5 days, and I had more to drink in 5 days than I probably had in 5 months.
He wasn't in training. It was sad. It was really sad.
Yeah. So to continue the further controversy. This watch, because, and Joe and I talked about this, I think yesterday. The watch comes on a rubber strap, which I will go on record and say I'm not a fan of the rubber straps of this one or the orange dial. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they feel on my wrist. That's just me. I feel like it would be better on a bracelet. However, with the IP coated color, kind of makes it difficult to pair up with just any stainless bracelet. But the keen oceanographer collector will know that there is another version in, where was it? Italy, Joe? Is that where you found it at?
Yeah.
Where it's a different colorway, but it has a bullet bracelet that is also IP coated to match the case. Want to talk about that one, Joe?
What you said. There is a bracelet option, apparently. The watch, it's a European version. It's a green dial with a 24-hour inner ring, and then there's also the bezel is just solid green. It has apparently got the IP coated bracelet. So that may or may not be an option that's available domestically. But if you know someone in Italy, potentially you could get one. We think. We're waiting to see. It's been tried apparently. So I'm waiting for a report before I can say distinctively. Other things ending in Lee. Let me go on. The bracelet itself, the strap, you're right, it's thick. And it works well with the case, but I've been changing the strap out. And so the favorite strap that I have right now is a loom strap that just goes great with the dial. Same kind of colorway, same kind of pop in the dark.
Got you there?
There you go. He's back now.
Where'd you guys go?
Oh, we went to.
I've been.
Oh, is he gone again?
And he's and he's gone.
we went to Italy to check out bracelet options. But I'll go on. It's a quick adjust, strap, and you got the quick adjust spring bars on the back, so you can change it out easily. I had trouble getting it back on because it's rubber. It sits in the lugs really well, and I hadn't got the spring bar set exactly right, so I went real quick with my wrist. Strap came off, watch fell off with absolutely no scratches at all. So
the IP holds up.
The IP holds up. The sapphire crystal holds up. The bezel held up. I mean, there was no damage to the watch whatsoever. Not voiding the warranty, nothing along those lines. So all of that coming together, like the package is a really interesting one. Some people may not like the IP color on the case. It doesn't bother me at all because the dial just sets up so much. Like you don't really notice so much of the case. You notice the dial really, really well. So, that's, to me, those are the negatives. Let's talk about the positives.
Thank God.
The lug to lug of the watch is perfect. It's the same as it is on all of the other 41 millimeter cases. So when you're talking about this is the European black dial, black bezel, and you can just see that the hang down it's straight down for the bracelet. Same kind of wear. So when you get the bracelet, you get the even the strap on, you throw on any other strap, any other bracelet onto it, it's going to just drop straight down. So it doesn't overhang. It sits really well on the wrist. The bezel, and this is an interesting thing because we had to do the comparison. It's a 60 click bezel. And that makes sense when you
really?
It's a 60 click bezel, and it makes sense when you think about it with the GMT with the 24-hour bezel on the other two versions, because you just want to be able to adjust that, and you can adjust that now to the minute, and there's no it's a really interesting kind of tweak. The way that the hands are set, the black GMT hand with the diamond on it versus the lollipop on the seconds hand, fantastic. It makes it really, really legible, but it doesn't make the GMT stand out that much. And I've got a really good picture of kind of the stack of it. And even with it being a GMT hand, it doesn't seem like it is much taller than anything else. Like I brought out my calipers, and we've got essentially the same height as the standard 41 version of the orange dial. The case height is no different, really, and that's with the GMT module on top of it. And so you're adding another hand. We haven't changed the height of the watch. That's really no way that's going to be discernible. The dial is just massively good. It's so good in the dark. It's really, really legible. The roulette fashion for the 24-hour track, which is right around where the hour markers are. So, and we'll have to throw pictures up, and you can find them online. The watch itself, you've got the hour markers, and then there's this black track on the inside, and that is alternating, and it's got the alternating hours on it. So, 20, it's all the odd hours, 23, 1, 3, 5, and it ends up making it look more like a roulette hour track. It's just great. It's absolutely great. The watch wears well. It pairs with just about everything. The monochromatic nature of it means it's going to be a strap monster. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's really good. I like it a lot. I really do. And I was showing this to other people who were considering different Oceanographer watches, and they took a look at that and they're like, it's done, man. It's over. To me, this is kind of the perfect, absolutely perfect vacation watch, because I can get this watch. I can wear it with anything that I've got. It's, it's black and white. It's going to show up. It's going to loom in the dark. You got it on a rubber strap. You can change it out to whatever strap you would like. It's going to work with everything. And I can look at the watch in some tropical island someplace and think about what I should be doing in third period, but instead I'm going to have another cocktail and not worry about my day. And I'm thrilled with that. I think that it's a great watch. The profile is nice. The colorway is nice. I'm sold, man. I'm
so
in.
Let's talk the movement here real quick. Michael, are you still with us here?
I'm here.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm here.
So this is the same movement that was originally came out with the Wilton GMT, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And so that said, it's a true what you guys call a flyer GMT.
Yes.
And for those that don't understand really how a flyer GMTs are supposed to work, do you want to elaborate and educate? Because I think it's really cool in the way that it works.
Well, I think the main difference being, in simple terms, a traveler, has the multi-position crown where you can pull out and quick set, the second time zone, if you will. Whereas with the desk, what we, is normally called the desk GMT, you don't have that quick set. You have to, literally, you would have to go all the way around the dial to have that hand move to the proper setting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'll
Mhm.
elaborate on that. We can talk about that a little bit because this watch came without box and papers. It was just the watch on a cushion with some bubble wrap. And I was a little concerned about that because I've never handled a GMT before. So other than, knowing kind of conceptually how it works, so I got the watch, time was wrong. There's 2 settings on the crown. Pulled it all the way out, hour hand, 24-hour hand, moved. Pushed it into so that was the third, so we, all the way in, pull out 1, pull out 2, pulled it out to 2. Pushed it into 1, and the hour hand started to move independently. And as you rotated that through 24 hours, then the date changed. And so it was massively intuitive. And also the thing that was more interesting, and I like this facet of the movement. If you move the hour hand back, the date resets. So you don't have to go all the way through to set the date. If
you're going backwards through a time zone. So basically the way that it works is your GMT hand, your fourth hand, is your home time.
Home time.
That's home time.
Yes.
When you're talking traveling through the time zones, your hour hand is what quick sets to the local time.
Yes. So you use that to set local time, and then to set the whole thing, if you want, you want to adjust it, you set your 24-hour hand to 12 o'clock, or set it to 0, straight up. Adjust your hour hand to that, and then set it to your home time, backwards or forwards for your local time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried about it because but no problem.
So individually, I like dive watches. I like GMT watches. So Michael, what was your guys' thought process to combine the two and have the Devil Diver as a GMT now? Because it almost seems kind of weird to combine them together, but it's a combination and a package that just works out so well.
He listened to me.
Well, I mean, if you want to really go back in time a bit, I mean, I would say Rolex, having, the most famous, let's say GMT, was basically in a sport type watch. We had already done the classic, in the Wilton, as you mentioned, Mike. And so for us, the Oceanographer made, perfect sense, for us to introduce the GMT. I also want to add that, GMTs, prior to us introducing the Wilton GMT, prior to that, I mean, to get a traveler, well, again, quote unquote, the traveler, all the feature and benefits that Joe just, outlined quite nicely, those were reserved for much more expensive watches.
Oh God, yeah. What was the cheapest?
Price points were way higher.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous. Absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about, upwards of $5,000 and up for a traveler type GMT.
And he's gone.
He's gone.
Listeners are going to love this episode.
This is going to be fantastic. What did he say? He's going through a tunnel again.
So I don't know, what was the last thing you heard me say?
You're talking about the price point of a true.
Yeah. Okay. And so definitely, prior to our Wilton GMT, you know, with that same Miyota 9000 caliber series movement, you know, a true GMT was pretty much inaccessible in this price point. And so, yes, there are actually today you'll see some less expensive GMTs, but they're desks, which is, you know, all of those things that Joe had talked about don't exist in a more, you know, basic, you know, still beautiful, great, you know, but it's not going to have the usability features that this newer movement has.
But if you're a frequent traveler, this is one of the watches to have without question. It's so simple to use. Like no manual. I figured it out. I'm not the brightest guy. I'm sold.
What's cool about the modern oceanographers, and Joe and I were talking about this before we all kicked this all off. History is repeating itself. So what I mean is Joe has spent a lot of time going through the original Oceanographer Gs and coming up with the case variants, the dial variants, the hand variants, the text on the dials, and I think he's up to what 9 or 10 different
there's
versions throughout
nine that we have
years.
images of, and then there's a prototype dial that people have claimed to have seen, but I don't have an image, so it doesn't officially exist. But there's potentially 10 different variations, which honestly, if you're looking at this from a collector standpoint, puts that watch into any other vintage dive watch space. It puts it up with Rolex, it puts it up with Blancpain, it puts it up with Doxa, it puts it up with anybody else, because the variants are subtle, there's slight order of text, different handsets, blah blah blah, on what's essentially the exact same watch.
And what's great about it is these modern ones is you have differences in the cases. You know, these are 41 and the orange dial is 41, but you got two different lug sizes. You know, now you're going to have variants in text on the dials. Now we've come to find out, you know, that the Bulova applied logo is different than the other Bulova applied logos. And it's fantastic because it's those little things that maybe even not having done it on purpose, just harken back to what the original is, and it all ties together perfectly. I love it. I love it.
It's really fun.
It's really fun. It's very Bulova.
I think just on the logo part, Joe.
Yes.
I think there was a concerted effort to clean up the applied, you know, how that logo was applied. Because when we first did the first kind of reissue of the Oceanographer, the analog shift, if you will, version, we really took to heart the original applied logo. And it was a little clunky, if that makes any sense.
It's an interesting thing. I've heard arguments and I've read arguments where people talk about the fact that the letters are all connected. And it's like, oh, it's like there's a blob of some sort, but it's like, no, but that's what it looked like. And if we're honest, that's what the Ferrari logo looks like. And nobody has anything bad to say about the Ferrari logo. So,
well, the original logos are the exact same way. The difference is back then they painted in between each letter to black it out against the dial. Like, so look at your original. I'm wearing my original right now.
Yeah, I've got mine
like
here.
Each letter is individual, but if you look at it up close under a loop, you'll see that they're all connected.
Well, but see, that's the interesting part, because it's that way on the G, but on the V, it's not. And you can see as you get into in this one, onto the orange dial, that's where it is. And it's the exact same thing on the reissue. So, you know, I understand a little bit of the argument, and I can get behind it, and I can see that, you know, modernizing the logo and doing that kind of thing. The part that's really funny is I was talking about this with another guy that Mike and I know with Oliver today, and I was trying to figure out what it was. The logo, there was something weird about the logo, and I didn't know what it was. And I have the bowl of the history of first book, and we were looking at that. We were looking at the modern logo, looking at the vintage logos. I'm like, oh, the B's a different shape. and then it clicked, and that's why it looked like it was wider, but it's not. It works. It works. It cleans it up a little bit. It flattens things out a little bit. Like, I understand the choice. Somebody's now going to probably complain about that.
I think they were just. Yeah, I think they were just trying to clean up the application, the work underneath the letters, right? So maybe the B is looking a little different because the metal that was underneath the logo, which is applied to the dial, may be looking a little bit different, but we're not using a different logo. It's the same logo from the original, let's say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
it's not
you know what? I have to take a closer. I haven't compared them, to be honest, side to side. So I'll have to take a look at it.
Well, see, now when you look at it, you'll be able to pick out the difference right away. But it's not a complaint in the slightest. One bit. It's just it's another little detail that if you're into details, this is just another thing to throw in there, and it's just what makes it the Oceanographer. I think it fits it perfectly. It just adheres to its past, and this is what's being brought in, and these slight little differences and upgrades and modernizations and cleaning the dial up, and it's perfect. It fits perfectly. I love it.
It fits it with a historical perspective without question. So as you can call us fanboys. I'm fine with that. Because I'm sitting here looking at the fact that I have 6 different variations of this dial. And now this is number 7 sitting here right next to me. And I haven't even gone far enough. I know that there are probably 13 or 14 more. So we'll have to see what I can come up with in the next couple of years. I love it. I am sold. I'm 100% on board. This would this would be the watch out of the 4 that are available. This would absolutely be the one that I would buy without question.
Well, yeah, kind of our spring bar picks. If anybody cares to know, Joe is all about the loom dial. I love the root beer, the gold case with the black and brown bezel. I think that looks fantastic. If Casey was here, I think he would tend to agree with me. He's expressed that he likes that root beer look as well. Pricing, you got 3 different prices. The one that you have there, Joe, that one starts at $12.95 on the strap with the loom dial.
Yeah.
Your Pepsi, which is not a coated case, it's just your regular standard 316 stainless steel case. That's $13.50. And then when you get into the root beer, that is the gold-plated IP case. That's $13.95. So a little bit of a price difference between the 3. So fits whatever budget you have, or style, or use.
And again, just to underline, because I don't know what you may or may not heard in my adventures here through New York State, but that movement is a really, it's a new movement. I believe Citizen brand also has a watch that is either out or coming out also that will be using that GMT. I believe they have a Batman version. Yeah,
Neil Brick has been putting pictures up of that, and that's pretty nice looking too. I do like that watch.
Yep.
So similar size components, similar thing. I think that the dial treatment on that is not nearly as nice. It's a little more.
Joe, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
Joe, you're 100. That's what's Joe, worse. You're 100% right.
Here's the problem.
I think it's
Mike likes it.
Mike likes it a lot. I think it's worth.
I'm just having fun at the expense of my Citizen colleagues. I'm sorry.
I think it's worth noting too that this movement has also hit the independent market. So there's a lot of independent brands that are starting to use this movement we'll call it the
micro brand.
Micro brands, yes, thank you. are starting to use this in their watches. So it's showing up. So if for whatever reason you guys are crazy and you don't like the Oceanographers or the Wiltons or the Citizens that we're talking about now, you can find this movement in other things in smaller brands. So it's starting to make
this was an interesting point.
It goes to show how good of a movement it is.
Well, we talked about this when the Wilton dropped, and Michael, you mentioned the fact that Bulova was going to have that for a good 6 months before anybody else got it, and like you guys made the most of it. So it's a really good, it's a fantastic movement. I have to admit, I haven't had to change the time on this. I've been wearing it all week. I'm sold, man. I'm sold.
Yeah, no, the 9000 series that you see from Miyota, anything that has a 9000, in it. These are the one level up, right? So they're considered premium in the house. And they're really, really nice machines that they're putting in. So whether you buy them from us or you buy them from a micro brand, I mean, for sure you're getting, a really nice movement.
Oh, without question, you're definitely getting what you pay for. So it's, I'm on board. I'm on board. Spring bar
approved.
Spring bar approved. Yeah, there you go. What? Any final thoughts on it, Joe? Anything you want to throw in?
No, I really like this watch. And this is where it's funny. Like I just did a one watch challenge for a couple weeks ago. And this one showed up, and I haven't taken it off since. I've changed the strap. It's been great. It's a really good watch. I've gotten more compliments on this watch than some of the others. And this is, well, let me change that. I've gotten more compliments on this watch from non-watch people than some of the others that I have. I have some watches that watch people look at them like, oh, that one. This one, however, non-watch people and watch people are like, okay, tell me more about what you got. It's striking. It's really striking. And if you happen to go to a meetup and somebody's got a black light, you're gonna win the Friday night loom battle. It's over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it's something else. And like it'll glow in artificial light. So it's really the funniest thing. I went to a meetup, I brought it, and people were shining the light on it, and they were looking at it. I'm like, oh wow! I'm like, I told you. It's a fantastic watch. You guys knocked it out of the park. I'm impressed.
I'm glad you got to get hands on with it. You are definitely
I am too. Oh my!
For it to go to.
It's my inspiration. I thought it was only fitting.
So I'll have to wait for it to hit the stores for me to be able to take a look at it. I really want to see that GMT. But Michael, we got to find a way for Joe to add this to his collection. So we got to work on that for him.
Yes, of course.
We'll talk about it.
It's really been a spring bar kind of summer into fall between Jetstar for Mike and Oceanographer for Joe. It's been quite a bonanza for the show.
We're okay with it
now, right?
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. I'm all in, man. I think it's great. I think it's great.
Mike, did you see my note that I sent you this week about a possible new Jetstar?
I did. Okay. I did.
All right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
I
don't want you to be surprised, and then you send me a nasty note.
Can we talk about that? So what are we talking about here specifically?
There's a small collaboration that we're doing with Complecto. Complecto being another watch enthusiast group, for those of you who may not know. They're relatively new, correct? They're based out of New York, yes. I think they're first going to be opened up to Complecto club members, and then will be opened up to, if there's any left after that, but I don't know, 100 pieces, not a lot. So I think they're going to go I think they're going to go pretty quick, but I try to give Mike the inside track.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. I'm very interested to see what it looks like.
I am too.
Reach out to the person I told you, Mike, on my text to you, and
I have.
Tomorrow.
I have.
Okay, good.
There you go. I think that Jetstar, the Jetstar architecture, the case shape, the dial, the bracelet, that's going to allow for some really interesting things that are going to be coming in the future, and I'm really excited about that. Probably maybe more so than I am about what are the options for this, but it's a really cool time. I think that there's going to be some new and interesting stuff that's coming out, which kind of takes us into our last calls here a little bit.
Okay,
Mike, do you have a last call?
My last call will be, if you want to do another Jetstar collaboration, the spring bar is available, and I have a colorway in my mind already for what one could be.
All right, don't let the cat out of the bag yet.
Yeah.
Let's talk offline.
There
All
we
right,
go.
We'll do that.
So
other than that, yeah, no, I don't really have a last call. Other than this is our first episode. We're recording, and then the episode gets published this evening. So this is all up to date information you're getting. This is hours old.
As current
So
as it could be.
I've got a busy night ahead of me as far as editing and putting this together goes.
Well, thankfully it wasn't live, because if it was live, it would have been a disaster.
Lots of pauses.
Right? Yeah.
I apologize for that, guys. By the way, I'm sorry.
Well, no. Hey, you know what?
Harrison State Park. It's fine.
We appreciate you putting in the effort and being here and working with us, and because we love having you on. The listeners and viewers love having you on.
It's true.
We always get a lot of good feedback whenever you do an episode with us. So even we'll take the good with the bad here.
I got a last call.
Okay, what you got?
This is my last call. So we have discussed that it's a 15 to 18 month window for new watches to be developed from conception to execution, right?
Hold on. Does Michael need to get a pen and paper?
No.
You got to write
No,
something
there's
down?
no math
Okay.
involved.
I'm listening.
Right. And so it's about a 15 to 18 month window, give or take. Yeah. And it's October.
Yes.
It's October of 23, which means within that 18-month window, we're hitting the anniversary year.
Mm-hmm.
That means some of, if not most of, the anniversary watches are done or close.
I wouldn't say they're done.
I
wouldn't say they're done, but oh yeah, conceptually, yes. We've already seen first samples of some of them or most of them, and waiting on the second sample for almost all of that year.
Okay, so how much money do I need to start saving?
You need to get a second job.
That's
so
what
we don't know. We haven't really heard any of the 2025 anniversary watches that are going to be coming out. I am excited to see what lies ahead. I'm very excited.
Joe's going to need a second job for 2024. We got a lot coming at you. We have a lot coming at you for the next 2 years, I have to say. Maybe too much, to be honest. I don't know how we're going to stage all this out, but there's a lot of fun stuff coming.
Can I go out on a limb here? Can I go out on a limb and say
Please.
that Bulova right now, 23 to 25, is probably the best that it has been since Bulova's heyday of the 70s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can I? Am I pretty accurate in saying that the stuff that is coming out, that has come out, and that is going to come out is bringing so much buzz and excitement back to the brand as it was back in the 70s. I'm super excited for this time right now. This is a great time to be getting into the brand and getting back into the excitement and the enthusiasm for it. The stuff you guys are doing is fantastic.
Thank you for saying that. And I think one of the reasons for it is also that the market is there. You know, I don't think it's that in the past it wasn't that the companies didn't, want to do this kind of work. It just was the market wasn't there. I don't know if I'm making sense with that.
No,
you know what? I don't.
It's tracking.
I'm
It's
gonna
tracking.
hold on. I'm gonna disagree with that.
Okay.
I am going to say that since you took over the position that you have within the company, you have done a lot of work to turn things around and make the watches more appealing to people again. That is bringing everybody back. It's bringing everybody their attention back to the brand. And I'm going to give you all the credit for this because prior to you being here, they were doing some cool things, but it's just not to the level of what you have brought the brand to up to this point.
I'll buy that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I appreciate that very much. There's a very large team of people in the office at the Empire State Building who are so committed to this as well that we're all working very much together. But I would say that all that said, the world and the market is there for us today and open. I'll give you an example. I just with someone yesterday. I'm going to say he was probably in his mid 30s, a gentleman, and is all about watches, like we've talked about this in other shows. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but someone today who's 35 or younger cares a lot more about everything that we just talked about on the show today than my generation. Right. So,
Yeah.
I'm a young baby boomer, right? So I'm on the younger end of the baby boomer generation, and we didn't look at watches this way. I mean, yeah, there were some people who did, but the majority of it was a utilitarian item. You had to have a watch. You had to know what time it was, and that was it, and there wasn't this enthusiasm and this attention to detail. And today, these 35 younger folks are really into it, much more than we were. And now what's exciting, I have to say, and we've had several conversations about this in the last few months, is women are coming on.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say millennial ladies and younger are like looking at their significant others or partners and saying, why are they so excited about this stuff? Let me go take a look at this. And now they're starting to get, a little bit of the bug, if that makes any sense. So,
functional jewelry.
Yeah, functional jewelry. I mean, let's just say a lot of the ladies are wearing, a connected smartwatch. You still see a lot of women, doing that, but there's a crack in the wall, if you will. And I'm starting to see that more and more where ladies are saying, okay, maybe it's an appropriate time for me to count my steps and do all the fitness stuff, whatever. But if I'm going to go out or I'm going to get dressed, I want to wear something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating when you start looking at, I was talking about this today earlier, the Bulova history, particularly with women's watches, has so much depth. And there's a relatively untapped market that's involved with that. And what, just regardless of where you fall on the size equation, that, okay, what's too big, what's too small, whatever, Bulova's got a woman's watch that will work and it'll fit and it's there and the options are available. So it's a really neat place to be. It's a really neat time to be in. And we're looking forward to the next 2 years. It's going to be pretty exciting. I got to get that second job, man.
Yeah, Joe, you really, it's going to be bad, or maybe get a loan, second mortgage if it's available.
I'll talk with my wife. I'm sure she'll be all on board with that.
Joe's he's gonna start selling tamales out of a cart on the corner.
Well, that's not bad. It's a cash business.
Right.
Yeah, you see Michael, what about you? Do you have anything, any last call? Anything you want to talk about? Any other controversy you want to bring up?
I did, but I've taken so much of your time. Well,
no.
Maybe one. I wanted to get you and yours and Mike's. I'm sorry, yours and Joe's opinion about the latest intro. And if you've done it already on another show, I apologize. of the Blancpain Swatch Blancpain introduction.
We just talked about this last episode, and as you would expect, there are two very different opinions on this watch.
You liked it or didn't like it?
I like it. I generally support what Swatch does with the collaborations. I think the Moon Swatch was wildly successful. It's brought a lot of attention to both brands. I think it will do the same, but maybe to a little bit lesser degree for Blancpain. A lot of people have said that it's a brand that is fairly under the radar. But everybody knows more or less what the 50 Fathoms is and the history and who came first, the Submariner or the 50 Fathoms. I mean, there's a whole story, there's a whole history behind it. So I think it's cool that they went that route with it. I don't mind the colorways, I don't mind the automatic movement. As a whole, I am on board with it. Joe,
can
however,
I give you
a different opinion.
Can I, before Joe goes, I also want to introduce a conspiracy theory that I have.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So I found it interesting that the two watches that Swatch Group decided to kind of introduce at a different price range.
I know where you're going
are
with
the
this.
two watches that Bulova has been very successful with as a reintroduction of our history. So whether it's the Lunar Pilot, obviously, and then later on the Mill Ship. And just I find it hard to believe that it's a coincidence. Thoughts?
Interesting that you point that out. Fascinating little bit of knowledge you're dropping right there. I detest these watches. I think they're awful. I don't find much that's redeeming about them. So the part that bothers me most, and I have a list, but we'll go with like the top 3. Number 1, it's supposed to be a sustainable watch. And so the bracelet is made out of recycled sea plastic. However, when the watch breaks, you can't fix it, even though it does have a removable case back. And they say that the System 51, it's gone. It's done. You're not replacing it. So there's that. Number 2, bioceramic is plastic, and you're just going to be adding to the plastic that you're going to be making the new straps from because you're recycling from sea plastic. Number 3.
See, you can turn your recycled bioceramic watch into a new watch then someday.
Okay, because that's
I don't believe the bioceramic, but bioceramic, the case, that has nothing to do with that. I mean, it may be a recyclable material. I'm not sure.
Right.
But that has nothing I don't believe that's recycled. I don't believe it's made using anything recycled. The bioceramic.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah. I just wanted to. Okay.
So at this point, like you can take the old watch cases and turn it into a new watch strap, and you'll be fine. 3rd issue. They're fugly, man. There's really nothing that's good about the colorways about that. And I am not opposed to a Swatch diver. Let's get on the record about that.
Oh, no.
I am not opposed. No. I am not opposed to Swatch diver. I think that the plastic bezel and a plastic insert is just awful. Swatch had never done anything without that. And Swatch's designs, fashion-wise or otherwise, have been pretty solid.
If I had more time, I would go back to last episode and splice in here at this moment you going on a rant. Swatch has never done this before. A bezel doesn't belong on a Swatch. This is ridiculous. It's stupid. Now you're saying that you're okay with a Swatch diver.
No, I'm not. I'm okay with a Swatch diver. Swatch has done dive watches. It was a solid bezel. They didn't do a 2-piece plastic bezel. That's stupid. It's stupid. It's dumb. It looks awful. It's bad. And that's without getting into the whole weird Blancpain was pre-Rolex. Oh, come on, man. No. Shame on you.
Well,
shame on you. That's why you bought that homage watch. You bought a Doxa that wasn't a Doxa.
whether or not you believe that the 50 Fathoms came before the Submariner, the Mill Ships is a far more rare watch.
It is.
What year
So
was the
there's that.
Submariner? What year was the Submariner?
So they all came out. What was it? 53 that they came out in, right? It was just a matter of.
The number is
I can tell you the mill ship prototype was done in 56, 57. So there's no way. I mean, the Bulova mill ship spec watch that we, don't end up making, only in a prototype format for the Navy, does eventually gets made by Blancpain, basically.
right.
So that comes late. So I'm just saying that comes later. So not being in the car and not having a timeline in front of me, it definitely wasn't before 53 or 53.
That's right.
So I'm just saying, I think there's some creative license being taken, maybe.
The controversy continues.
I don't think there's controversy.
But more importantly, yay or nay on my conspiracy theory, because it is quite interesting.
Yay.
Oh, Joe says yes.
Joe's fully on board.
I'm in.
I'm not gonna discount it.
I'm in.
I
think that the guys that shot JFK were wearing a Blancpain.
Well, probably not, because if you assume that they were CIA, they were probably wearing something else.
I'm just, I can neither prove nor disprove this fact.
I understand. All right.
Oh, goodness.
I do own, for the record, I did buy myself the Omega Swatch Moonwatch, so I do have one.
Did you now?
You
I
did.
did. I did.
Interesting. So which one did you go with?
Well, it wasn't Go. It was whatever was available. I happened to get it when I went to Europe earlier this year, because they were much easier to find in Europe. And still, even today, I think they're a lot easier to find in Europe than they are here. But the day I was at the store, at the Swatch store, it was Earth. So I have the Earth version.
Okay.
That was my guess. My guess was going to be Earth.
So you asked us our opinion on it. What's your opinion on it? Seeing as you bought one.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, I like the watch. It's fun. It's fun, right? It's fun. I think it's great for Swatch, in my opinion, as a person who's in the watch business side of things. I think it's great for Swatch. I mean, I don't think Swatch has sold as many watches last year in a long, long time. So
whether you love it or you hate it, it was probably the genius marketing plan of the century.
Oh, without question. Without question.
Yeah. No, it's great for Swatch, but therein lies the conspiracy theory. I mean, obviously, a Bulova lunar pilot, we've also sold quite a few of those, and it's a great story, and it's accessible. And so it's interesting that this was one of the watches that was picked to become accessible.
It's a weird coincidence. It's a really weird coincidence, because we've talked about this before. It's like you've immediately raised the value of any existing Speedmaster. Secondary market for that watch has now gone through the roof. Oh, we need to have you back. We need to have you back. We got to talk about secondary market prices, and if Bulova is going to get into the pre-owned market, we got to have that conversation.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that as a cliffhanger.
I was going to say, I know what I was going to say. So you've got the Moon Swatch and the Lunar Pilot. Then you have the 50 Fathoms and the Mill Ships. So what is your prediction for the next release then, Michael, if we're following suit?
Great question. We used to license the tuning fork movement to Omega years ago. They end up making a tuning fork Swatch version. then my conspiracy
no!
theory will be justified.
There you go.
That's doubling down at a level I haven't seen since somebody said, "Oh, I think the moon landing was fake," and somebody said, "Oh, you believe in the moon?" Wow, you went straight flat Earth. That's awesome.
Tuning fork. Let's see.
There you go. Well, and on that note,
there it is. Wow, we are the Spring Bar Podcast. You can reach us everywhere.
oh gosh, I'll take over.
How much has Joe been drinking? I can't see Joe on camera now.
Oh, he went through a whole bottle of champagne.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Night, Joe.
Yep. So this evening, Joe, Michael, and myself, we make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us thespringbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a personal note, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word, 120 clicks. Joe.
I am Watch Taylor Youth, all one word, EUPH. Watch Taylor Youth. Michael.
And I am at Boulevard 150.
Which is in 2 years, save your money. You can also reach us on email at the springbarpodcast@gmail. You can find us on the springbarpodcast@gmail.com. That's
I know, but we've already been there.
Shut up.
Night, Joe. Michael, as always, thank you for coming on. We had a few hiccups with your rural expeditions and
Harrison
your
State
signal.
Park.
Yeah, but
Harriman State Park. Thank you.
We appreciate you sticking with us, and we appreciate everybody listening for going through all the choppiness in and out of it. But next time, hopefully, we'll get you back in your office there. So
yes, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
I'll be going to Tokyo. I'll be going to see the mothership headquarters in Tokyo in a couple of weeks. So.
Very cool.
Maybe we'll do a podcast when I come back. I'll have some news.
Some first-hand information.
That's right.
Looking forward to that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, until the next time, Michael makes a prediction on whatever Swatch by XXX is going to be. Cheers.
So we'll see you.